So you want to know why Chad Gable re-signed with WWE? Well, good, because you're in the right place. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what he had to recently say about the decision, because it was a noticeable one, right? It came at a time where he had finally started getting the push that he deserves. Something in which the fans have been pushing for years. And even though Triple H took over main roster creative in May of 2022, with the belief that there was going to be a lot of talent out there that would get renewed pushes or new pushes. Talent that had not been used to the way that most fans believed should have been under Vince McMahon's leadership. Yes, some of that happened, but in the case of Chad Gable, it didn't happen right out of the gate. In fact, it took almost a year and a half to do so. But finally, on Monday Night Raw, Chad Gable, he found his footing with Otis and Maxine Dupree and Tozawa. They went from a comedy act to more of a serious act, and it all boiled down to Chad Gable's feud with Sami Zayn over the Intercontinental title. It also goes back to his feud, his hunger, his pursuit of the Intercontinental Championship. It started with Gunther. It continued with Sami Zayn, right? And he kept falling short. And I believe the pivotal moment in his career was his heel turn and turning on Sami Zayn. And then that led to, obviously, Clash at the Castle. Now, heading into Clash at the Castle in June, there was a lot of talk about Chad Gable's status, his future with the company, because we all knew that his WWE deal was slated to expire. And there was a lot of people thinking, okay, look, WWE hasn't done much with him, right? The majority of his career, I mean, my God, we had to go through those Shorty G days. That was god-awful, and he was seen as one of the most underrated guys under WWE contract. And when you have someone like that, you would assume that they would at least consider the idea of leaving and going somewhere else, say an AEW, a TNA, a New Japan, etc. Well, he ended up losing at Clash at the Castle, a decision that I thought was wrong. I thought Chad Gable should have dethroned Sami Zayn for the IC title. I thought he should have earned that title, and it looked like they were going to continue the storyline, the split between him and Otis, and they somewhat have coming out of Clash at Castle, but really, it's been pivoted towards Chad Gable feuding with Wyatt Six, right? At one point, we were told that he got killed off by the group, only for Triple H to be like, no, that wasn't the case. Now, he's slated to work Money in the Bank, or as a recording of this video, was slated to work Money in the Bank, and they're off to the races in that regard, but they're still continuing the feud between him and Wyatt Six. So that, all that being said, before Clash at the Castle, Chad Gable confirmed, yes, I have re-signed with the company. Personally, I thought they could have had some real fun with that storyline, but he opted just to admit it outright. Now, that leads us to today's topic, because Chad Gable was on the Cheap Heat podcast with Peter Rosenberg. Yes, he has his own podcast, radio show, whatever you want to call it, and he had old Chad on there, and I wrote this up for Wrestling News Co. You can go check out the transcript if you will. And he was asked about his decision to re-sign with WWE, and this is what he had to say. I've done some reflection. I've done some reflecting about what re-signing means for me, not professionally or financially going forward, but what it means to me. And as you said, I'm getting older. This business is interesting. If you would have told me in high school when I started that I'd be hitting my peak when I was 38, I would have said, you're crazy. How do you wrestle that long? But here we are. So I think that kind of evaluated where I wanted my legacy to be, or be part of my legacy anyways, to go forward. I want to step into more of a leadership role going forward, both locker room wise and just to the guys. Like, we have a lot of young talent coming up with these guys in NXT. We've got guys like the Creeds who are just incredible athletes. Everybody's seeing their athleticism, but they don't necessarily have like the guiding light for them to show them like the other stuff, the other aspect. No one needs to teach them how to be strong or athletic anymore. They've got that. I couldn't even teach them that. But I think I am the type of guy that would be in a good leadership role. And I think I would have a lot of value, especially to people that, WWE and both NXT seem to be really interested in lately, which is a lot of people with sporting athletic backgrounds, making the jump from amateur athletics with NIL deals and all that other stuff. So I think there was a big chance for me to be stepping into a role of leadership and offer some insight to those guys whenever I can. Now, he did confirm that he signed a 5-year deal around 2019 before talking about the timing of the deal. He said this: "The timing is unbelievable. Like, I've reflected on it so much, it's just unbelievable. It's sometimes, I mean, there are these kind of things that I think when they happen, it's like makes you question, like, something to this. Someone was looking out for me, or fate or something, because the stars align, right? It was too perfect, and I'm happy because it's great. This is where I want to be. I'm a loyal guy. So I started somewhere and I want to finish there. If I started anything, I want to finish it. And I was so happy and fortunate. The idea of finishing it now looks different than would have been a few years ago, which would have been like, fulfilling my contract, which would have finished, like finishing it because I wasn't really doing anything. Now finishing means accomplishing things, winning championships, and then leaving a real legacy. And, to me, that's the most important thing. So I think the biggest ups are the ones that led to whatever it was. My wife, my family, everyone being able to talk me through everything, my ability to stick through it, through the lowest of lows, because I'm never going to walk away. I never thought about, you hear guys asking for the release and things like that. I'm not one of those guys, but you have to be able to just keep your eye on the end of the tunnel and see everything through it. Got me to that point. So now I guess, like you said, you reap the benefits of getting through that stuff. Now, he did add that the conclusion that should he have not re-signed with WWE, he could have gone somewhere else. He said he always liked the idea of drifting off from wrestling and doing his own thing, as he has a master's degree and is interested in filmmaking. So it sounds to me like this guy was never interested in leaving WWE. And if he was going to leave, then he would just simply go and do his own thing, right? That's very interesting to me as well. Because while, yes, he would be a stylistic fit in AEW, people have to understand, like, we're not in 2019 anymore. We're not even in 2020 anymore. There is so much talent in AEW right now that it is ridiculous, to the point where they can't use half of their freaking roster because there's not enough television time. You're not using talent on a weekly basis. And this is despite the fact that you have 2 weekly programs in Dynamite and Collision. Now, here's an elephant in the room. The reality is AEW has one of the most loaded, stacked rosters in the history of the wrestling business. But there are only so many that have true needle-moving abilities. There are only so many that actually have personalities and that can do promos and that has charisma. Everyone on the AEW roster can work, but not everybody can talk, and that's a problem that they have to address. Hey y'all, real quick, make sure you join the movement and join everyone in smashing, obliterating that notification bell so you are notified every single time we upload new wrestling content here to the channel. Hit that subscribe button as well. Thank y'all so much for your support and help changing me and my family's life, and I will see y'all next time.